Ever imagine a spirit is in the room with you, or wish you could communicate with a dead relative? At Hex Old World Witchery in Salem, they say they have a potion to set the magic in motion.
Many people believe that we're worshiping a dark god, in which we are not. We do not even believe in the existence of a devil. We believe in nature, and we work with the elements to provide for strength for us and our families. Your father is definitely an energy around you.
Leanne Marama bills herself as a psychic medium and a strega, Italian for witch. She says in tumultuous times like these, people are more apt to turn to spiritual advisors.
During the times in history where I feel that, there's a lot of stress, you'll find that people want a different point of view or some advice or guidance, or they need some extra spell work.
Hex Old World Witchery is stocked with products for the believers and the curious. Potions and herbs, scents and candles, voodoo dolls and poppets to send positive vibes towards someone else. As for the opposite, Marama says curses are not what witches do, even when, for instance, a jilted spouse has good cause for anger.
They'll say to me, "I'm going to curse my husband. He was very unfaithful." And I'll say to her, "Why would you bother to do that? How about a healing spell for you and some new strength and some new confidence just to wash off that negativity?"
Over the years, Marama says her psychic energy has been requested to find lost objects, shoo away unwanted spirits, heal sick children. She acknowledges her belief system is not for everyone.
To the skeptics out there who don't believe in witchcraft or the work I do, I say to you, believe in something. There is truth in everything. Find faith in something that you love and you believe in. You don't have to believe in the words I say.
From school days, most visitors to Salem have a cursory knowledge of the witch trials. But on Mike Vitka's Spellbound Tours, you get the gory details and hear chilling tales of Salem's haunted past.
We go to 12 different historic haunted sites all around the city of Salem. We teach you the real history about the witch trials, and we also talk about paranormal investigation. We talk about the secrets of voodoo and what role that played in the witch trials. We talk about the vampire legends and folklore, and the people who drink blood in Salem nowadays. The reason they're close is because there's no bodies underneath them. The bodies, believe it or not, are under the church.
Dr. Vitka, who says he's a trained paranormal investigator, delights in digging deep, way deep.
People who are going to church here are going to church on top of the graveyard. On occasion, they've even claimed they've seen apparitions come out of the floor and interrupt the services.
Vitka takes you to streets where those accused of witchcraft were supposedly caged and starved. Then he regales you with gruesome details of Salem's sadistic sheriff, who condemned Giles Corey to be crushed by rocks after he was wrongfully accused of witchcraft.
As he lay there dying in the grave, his final words he said were, "Damn you, Sheriff Corwin, I curse you and all of Salem." Now, Giles Corey was not a witch, but his curse came true. Sheriff Corwin dropped dead as a relatively young man with a heart attack.
Among other Vitka nuggets, real-life grave robbers actually tried to dig up a casket in Salem's most sacred cemetery, and in broad daylight. So who dares take his macabre tour?
We have everybody from evangelical people to Muslims to atheists. Everybody wants to know the history, and everybody is fascinated with the idea of life after death and the spirit world. Even people who don't believe get into it because the evidence is curious.
At our final stop, the Charter Street Burial Ground, Vitka points out the graves of a passenger on the Mayflower, a judge from the witchcraft court, and supposedly the plot of a gravely ill 7-year-old girl buried alive in 1744, so as not to infect others.
Through the years, even though she's been dead forever, people still claim they can hear a little girl weeping right around here.
So I think some in Salem would like to sort of forget that past, the witch trial past. It's the only thing that people associate with the community, but you're still connecting it to that.
Oh yeah, the witch trials is what brings people to Salem. There is a lot more in Salem than just the witch trials, but the witch trials is the hook that gets people here. And in fact, as sensationalistic as my stories might sound, I think we're doing an honor to the people who died during the witch hysteria by not forgetting them.
I'm totally hooked. All right, well, back to the folks at Hex Old World Witchery. They are very excited about their upcoming festival in October, the Festival of the Dead.
That sounds weird to be excited about
Yes.
the Festival of the Dead, but they are excited about it. All month long, they have spirit readings, they have seances, other events, and it all culminates, of course, with the official Salem Halloween Witches Ball. That's on October 26th, so get your ticket as soon as you can.
Next, we join a roaming dinner party, and you can too.
Large portions, great food, a lot of history.